So I had a car accident back in August, and we had the settlement, whatever. I told my friend about it, or about the results of what happened as the vehicle was being repaired, and he made a comment to me regarding the amount that I received of like, oh, that should be enough to last you the rest of the year. And when he said that, I didn't really respond to him. I just kind of, this is a phone call, so he can't see what my facial expression is, but I kind of just sat in silence. And the reason for that is because the problem with living, right, is that there are always these things that come up which you may not have predicted or thought of before. And sometimes you can mitigate it, right? If it's something that's happened previously, you can kind of get an idea of like, okay, I've seen this before. But I never like to make definitive statements regarding, okay, this month it'll be this amount I need to, pay this bill and to get food and whatever, because there tends to always be something that shows up that I usually either have no idea about, or if I am aware of it, I don't know how much it's going to be. Um, so just as an example, get into this car accident, in August, and you get enough to fix everything, whatever. And it's like not even 2 months later, right, the end of October, that I am noticing one of the brakes is kind of acting up, and I figure out it's probably an oil change. And then I found out that it was actually the axles were like leaking and just really badly damaged. And the guys I go to, who I trust and have had make repairs that always were effective before, charged me like $800. And then it was what, last Monday? It already feels like it was 2 weeks ago that I got locked out of the car, and that was only because I was trying to repair one of the tires, and I was like sick of my keys falling into my pocket, so I just put it in the seat. And then the door sometimes closes by itself and it auto locks. It's not like, oh, I just put it in there and then forgot to keep the door unlocked, and that resulted in me having to, well, at first I went and got a professional kit to open it, but then this good Samaritan showed up and assisted me with opening it. And then of course the nightmare, like I might make a whole video at some point about last Sunday. It was really bad. I mean, it cost me a lot financially and physically. I still have the sores on my feet from how awful that day was. But, and I'm not like, I don't even say it to do any kind of like victim thing. Just that was, I would really say that so far has been the worst day of the year. And usually the worst day of the year for me is something related to cars. But this again is like why I don't really confidently state, oh yeah, I've got enough for this month and that, because every time I turn around, there is something that is ready to come out of nowhere, or just strike me down. We talked about the ever increasing cost of food. I go to I think it's like the Chevron gas station, and it was that you could get a soda, big soda this size. It was 90 cents. I would get two of those in one day. Nice cold drink. It's hot, during the summer, whatever. And they raised it to $1.65, and you would say to yourself, like, oh, what's the big deal? It's buck 65. It's like, yeah, but remember, you're the whole point of like getting a refill is that you are just having them pour. You're just getting more of the drink. They're not giving you any materials. You have the cup, you pay for more of the drink, and then you get more of the drink. So to have the price of that almost double, right? Because twice of 90 times two would be 180. So 165 is not that far off from just a complete doubling of the price. It's one of those things where I started scaling back how often I go there, because I just wasn't willing to pay that amount for one soda. Um, and again, just the ever increasing cost of food, and the again, those unexpected expenses. And a lot of times it's stuff related to the car. Um, and I don't know, it's like people will have called me pessimistic. Oh, you're so negative. But I know my luck. I know my fate. Um, and I don't get cocky enough to ever think that, oh yeah, I have this amount, I'm going to be fine for a year or 2 years. I think you can say with like some level of reason, like, okay, this amount, is double of what I would need for this, so I should be, barring any. But the problem again is that there are so many unforeseen expenses that just pop up that I can't really do anything about, and it's really frustrating because I've said before that I wish I would give a lot of things for jobs to be more plentiful in terms of either just being able to work at all, or to have them give me enough hours to just survive. But they don't really seem that interested in doing that, and that's caused me to just keep scaling back more and more, and it's just frustrating. Like I think of all the circumstances that lead to someone who is not even, like, I'm not married, I don't have any children, just but still like afraid of, oh man, if I don't get this, if I don't have that, because it's just, it's all rotten, man. um but yeah, I just, when he said that, I kind of looked away, because I really do believe in tempting fate. One time I was in the car with one of my relatives. I had to take him to pick up his car because he went to the hospital or something. They don't let you just get up out of bed and drive yourself back. And he made a comment of like, "Oh, your car's running good," and it was, I think, 2 or 3 months later that I was having, like, hearing like like kind of a rattling of the engine. And then they found that it was because of the alternator or something. And of course, when you go to these car places, even the ones that I do business with, or I like for the most part, anytime they put the part in for you, or use their own stuff, they always overcharge. Like, they'll take something that's 116 on Amazon and charge you $300 for it. I had one day where they and I don't like to do car stuff that has to do with the engine. I'm more comfortable with changing tires and wheels and lights and whatnot, just stuff that is cosmetic or is not directly affecting the power source, because I'm always worried that if I make a mistake I could get electrocuted or mess it up worse than it already is. But I went to them one time to change some part in the front. I'm forgetting the name. It wasn't the alternator, it was some other part. But the part on Amazon was $18. They charged me 90 just to put it in, and it's frustrating. It really is, because you ask yourself, when will there ever be a time where you can have that set amount every month of like, okay, this is what I should need, this is what I should need. But again, it's just stuff with these cars especially, and then the rising cost of food. You just can't be comfortable ever. Um, I haven't talked about. I've gone to some restaurants and been shocked by the prices of things, and how a lot of major franchises, right, places like Wendy's, they purposefully put up these commercials that show how tasty and nice their food looks, and then no mention of price at all, so that when you get there and you see it, you can be tempted by the look of it, and hope, and from their vantage point, hope that you're so distracted and mesmerized by the physical appeal of the food that you don't get disgusted by the price tag of the food. So I just, I would really like to believe in something better, but I deal with reality, and it just seems like every month there's some unexpected expense that comes up. I really hate the thing that happened this past Sunday because it was so preventable. But I have to remember that I'm not dealing with a system of justice that is actually about protecting drivers and you know rules of the road. It's really just greedy. I've made another video about this before. Just the greed of the whole, like, of cities, and them giving people tickets and all this other crap so that they can squeeze money out of the populace. And I talked before about how we had I think it was LA County was like upset that they weren't making enough off of the different parking tickets, so they're in like full force to meet these quotas. And it almost seems like they are just there, and I get that. That's again where I get so frustrated by things. They expect people to pay 2 grand a month for rent on top of, again, like I get off easy from just not having a car note, but if you have a car note, what, 700 on average, right? So that's three grand a month just for a car and where you live, and not even counting gas, which is another expense. uh, then you're talking about any other thing like food, which for me on average is probably like 200 a month. But if you're going to these fast food places, it's probably going to be even like double of that. So that's my point of just I never, as long as things cost as much as they do, and as long as jobs are just so refusing to either hire or give any damn hours, it's going to keep being that same like race to the bottom, tightening of my, I don't want to say purse strings, but just, you never can be comfortable. It's always someone trying to squeeze something out of you while giving you like virtually no chance to survive. It's some sick stuff. But yeah, that's why I never with confidence say, oh yeah, I've got enough for this, because I really believe that when you say that, you're tempting fate, and that there will, every, I'd say 4 to 6 weeks be something that comes up that screws me. I wasn't expecting that accident, and then that happened. This thing with this car having the axles being messed up, that was actually, ironically enough, I'd only been driving it again for I think about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, like basically just barely a full month after the repair. So it's just it's awful, man. It really is just, you think you take a step forward and it's like two back, and you just keep going further and further back until they put you in your grave.